Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about the Ultimates issue 18 by Dennis Camp, Juan Frigeri and Federico Blee. Time has finally run out for the Ultimates. The Maker's return is imminent and can happen at any moment, so Tony readies himself for their final mission, which, as America Chavez reminds him, is a rescue mission. Tony builds up the courage and presses the activation button as his broadcast is sent out across the entire world. Iron Lad cuts into people's phones and billboards and tablets, TVs and computers, telling them that he understands most know he is a terrorist, but some know him as a hero, but either way, he hopes they listen. He tells the people of the world that this is being all done for them, and ever since he was a boy, he knew that something was wrong with the world and that there should be more to it, and he knows many felt the same way, and the world should be better than it currently is, something that's brighter and kinder and full of hope. Dennis Camp has been using Iron Lad in a really unique and pretty creative way since being an Iron Man analog. He's expected, I expect him to be, in on the action, he's working on the fancy tech for the team, just being one of the team members. But here he is undoubtedly the leader of the team and filling the role that you would normally see someone like Captain America do, give that sort of inspirational speech and leadership stuff. That's all being done by Tony, which I really like. This is the Tony who's seen both sides of this world, thanks to his father being part of the Cabal. He's seen sort of the upper echelons, and he's also seen the other side, the side of that was being subjugated by these people, and he knows that that is wrong, and he wants to stop that, and he knows the futures were ripped from them. He has seen what the futures on a different world can look like, thanks to being able to see over into Earth 616, and like he's saying, he knows that something is wrong thanks to the Maker's manipulation, and their futures were ripped from them, and people were killed, and people who should be alive are now dead, and people should be angry about it. And it's such a unique role for Tony that he's this more talking rather than action guy, and kind of helping trying to rally the world behind his cause and be a beacon of hope for Earth 6160. Tony knows that instead of a hopeful world, they live small lives and dream small things and spend their time trying to escape reality. I really like the visualization that Juan Frigeri did here, where when Tony says about escaping reality, it's a guy surrounded by comics, toys, movies, video games, forms of escapism that, hey, in real life, we also use to escape reality, if but for a little bit. You guys watching this video right now are escaping the reality around you just for a little bit. Leave it to Camp to give us some brilliant meta commentary and weave that into the story. He does it again a little later on, which I'll talk about as well near the end of the issue. Tony knows that they try and escape reality since it's things like sanctioned genocide, irreversible environmental damage, and widespread oppression. And their reality, they have no say in their lives whatsoever. Nick Fury, meanwhile, finds out about the message, demanding that Iron Lad be taken off the air and for his team to contact Janet to see if his mole in the Ultimates can stop any of this. The rest of the Maker's Cabal also witnesses the message, becoming angered as Tony reveals their roles in the world's subjugation. He reveals to the world the things he has seen and how these people have poisoned 1,000-year-old cities and islands, turning their populations into mutants, using the world as an experiment on cruelty and control. As the message continues, America Chavez teleports into a war zone, shrugging off artillery and gunfire as if it is nothing. Tony tells the world that the Ultimates have been trying to fix the world, but time is running out and most of what the world has heard about them has been lies, like them supposedly destroying Stark Tower, which was actually the work of the Maker's Cabal, but the huge power outages in Maryland and Virginia were their doing, as Maker had built a grid of unending suffering, all powered by America Chavez, who the team liberated from her captor Midas and allowed her to join their fight as an Ultimates member. I'm liking just how much the world is being let in on what is going on, as usually with big superhero battles or events, the larger world doesn't really know what the hell is going on. Sometimes they don't even know an event or a fight is actually even happening. So it's nice that Tony is bringing the world in on this, telling them what's going on, since they have just as much a role in this fight as the heroes. All of these people's lives were ripped away and changed against their will, and they deserve to fight as well. And I like that Tony and the team realize that as well. They're not just doing it themselves. Everyone is getting involved. As America blasts her way into a secured bunker, Hawkeye battles a group of monks, while Ren, the girl we actually saw in the last issue who joined up with the Ultimates network, helps deliver supplies to a group of people in need, despite still nursing her cut-off hand. Across the world at the Ultimates Archipelago, Luke Cage and his Avengers get ready to defend their prison from an army marching onto their doorstep. Tony tells the world of all of the good the different groups on Ultimates are doing, revealing that they have also been fighting living fairy tales and set off a war of gods, as out in the 10 realms, Thor, Sif, and the Warriors 3 battle frost giants and skeleton armies. Man, Thor's corner of the universe has really gotten kind of the shaft in this book since we had that excellent focus issue a couple of issues back, and since then we have gotten nothing from him. Like, we never even stopped to check in to see how the war is going on in some way. This is the first time we've actually seen it since that issue. Again, it feels like that was meant to be kind of flung off into a solo series or have a multi-issue arc dedicated to that, but because the universe is ending, that never came to fruition, and it's a damn shame since Camp set up Thor as this really complicated and interesting guy who's a little bit morally ambiguous since he was making deals with Surtur, or, being very violent and very, not really caring about what is really going on in the grand scheme of things on Earth. He prefers to think about things in the 10 realms. So it was much more different than the Thor we usually get. So I really wanted to explore more of that, and it's just a shame it doesn't look like we're going to get the chance. Tony tells the people that during these missions, many of them died, but they all came back for the people. Janet meanwhile returns home with yet another armful of groceries, which means she's been to see Fury. Hank notices the groceries, but Janet waves it off, asking how Tony is doing. Hank knows he's doing just fine, but thinks they should be up at the Triskelion to help with support. Janet thinks that they are fine on the ground in case anything happens, and it looks like something will, as Fury has the Triskelion's secret plans thanks to Janet, poring over the design schematics to find a way to shut Tony down. She-Hulk meanwhile returns home to her island home, angrily smashing her way through the AIM soldiers that are subjugating her people, as Tony says that the team call themselves freedom fighters and they are dangerous, since freedom is dangerous to the Maker and his cabal as it threatens their systems that were designed to suppress humans and stop them from flourishing. I like the return to the island She-Hulk is from, but like I said in the Shang-Chi issue, we won't get to see a lot more of that, and it's beginning to feel very rushed here. We're kind of like moving through all these things. Like I just said before, we're meant to be several issue arcs on this book, and we're just kind of doing it really fast just to kind of get us up to speed and get these characters into a position where they can be in that big all-out war. It feels like we're missing a couple of character development moments that we would usually get in a normal series, but again, because this is ending, we're not going to get that. There's even small parts here for Peach Momoko's X-Men, who see Tony's message along with Peter Parker and his family, and Black Panther and Killmonger, as Tony tells the people that they all are needed, and he is asking every single person watching to join the Ultimates. I kind of love this. This is what I was talking about with the meta commentary coming back a little later on after that escaping reality bit, and I love the art is a callback to those old Uncle Sam recruitment posters during wartime, where Uncle Sam wants you, and instead it's Iron Lad pointing literally at us, telling us to join the Ultimates. It's a fantastic little piece of meta commentary there from Dennis Camp. Tony tells the people that you don't need weapons or powers to join the Ultimates. All it takes is the decision to resist, which comes in many forms. This is what I have really liked about Camp's writing. He's constantly written and reminded us that you don't need weapons to fight fascism. It helps, but resisting their order and subjugation in many different ways helps turn the power against them and helps take that power that they covet so much away from them, and without that, they have nothing. They have no power over you. Tony tells the people not just to take up arms, but to organize strikes, lead protests, and provide intelligence and sabotage factories. Even not going into work can be counted as a heroic act. I kind of like that no thing is small in this war. Like, everything has a purpose and a reason, and I like that. It makes everyone feel like they're doing their part, and they are. If everyone does just a little thing, it all adds up into one big thing, and I like that. That's what Camp and Tony here is getting at, and kind of telling all of the people. Luke Cage and his Avengers, meanwhile, are teleported to Fort DaCosta's military base, charging at the army who was caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the Avengers. Steve meanwhile meets with Pietro and Wanda, glad that they seem to look well. Pietro wants to know what the hero wants since he lit him on fire, and he doesn't like him. Steve tells the boy that he did try to kill him, and he's talking to them like kids because they are kids. Pietro believes that they are actually killers and gifted ones at that, but Wanda knows that they have done many bad things, that Steve wouldn't be so nice to them if he knew half the stuff they've done. We've gotten nothing about these two since their introduction. We just kind of got introduced to them, been like, oh yeah, they're here. You know, they were kind of sort of founding members of the Avengers first, you know, sort of recruits early on, you know, villains turned heroes, much like Hawkeye. So they kind of sort of have to be in the early stages, but nothing was done with them. And I do like that we did get this little interaction here. We didn't have to have it, but I do like it. And I like that from it you can tell that these kids were just sort of shoved into this world with no real understanding of what they do or why they do it. They're just told that they have these powers and they need to use them to do this. And they are putting on that sort of brave, tough facade, but like Steve can see and we can see, they are just scared little kids who just need some direction for a change, that they need someone to like support them. It's great he gets to be the one to also bring them in because, as I said, they were kind of, you know, sort of first recruits for the Avengers way back when. So it's great to see them sort of do that again. Steve tells the kids that nothing is beyond forgiveness if forgiveness is earned, which is a really brilliant Captain America line. I like that he gets to be that sort of mentor for these people. America, meanwhile, blasts her way through some hand agents and into the hospital room of Midas, who knew that she would come for him. He apologizes for not getting up, since the Ultimates broke his neck into pieces, and not even with all the money in the world can he put himself back together, with his gold armor keeping him together. I really like that Midas just has one of the original Iron Man armors, just the gold version one. It's a great look for the villain, you know, a guy who's obsessed with gold and money. His name is Midas. Yeah, cool. Makes sense that he would have this suit. And I think he does in other iterations too, but I just like that this one very clearly is that old school Iron Man armor from the 60s. America says that she has something to tell and give Midas, which intrigues the man, since what could America give one of the world's richest men? America knows that he was once one of the world's richest men as she kisses his armored cheek, disintegrating the villain with her powers. It's so satisfying that America got her revenge on Midas, since this was just another one of the long line of hanging threads this book has, and while there could have been, you know, much more there, I could see maybe a story diving into America and Midas's relationship, this kind of weird obsession he had with her, the trauma that she would have suffered by being used as a literal living battery. You could have dived into all of that sort of stuff, but of course we couldn't. But I'm glad there was still that sort of conclusion there. They didn't just leave that and be like, oh yeah, there was that Midas stuff. That happened off the page. I like that we actually got to see it. As people begin to arm themselves against the police in Times Square, Danny Rand and the reincarnation of Shang-Chi climb a icy mountain. Danny hopes that the boy is right and the door to heaven is close, and the boy is, revealing that he knows many things, like their lives are intrinsically tied together. So Danny better stop being lazy and move quick. As Tony proclaims that they are all Ultimates and will fix the world together, people begin attacking the police in Times Square and other authoritative figures across the world. Fury, meanwhile, is told they have the location of the Triskelion, but he knows the damage has already been done, and he wants the team of Ultimates to be monitored continuously, wanting to see what they find out about them. Tony finally ends his speech, telling his brothers and sisters of arms to rise up as the people begin to beat back the oppressive forces of the Maker, who, thanks to the time running out, is now free to leave the city of Latveria. The Ultimates issue 18 was another fantastic issue that brought everything we've seen over the last half a dozen issues to a head, with the world finally fighting back against the Maker and his forces just as the villain is about to make his grand return. The book did feel a little rushed in some places though, especially the Thor, She-Hulk and Shang-Chi stuff, which all felt like they could have been their own multiple issue arcs inside this book or even their own series. But the abrupt ending of the universe means that Camp had to begin to tie off everything as best he can, and in that regard he does a damn fine job. They all have their own moment in the sun, and it all got me really hyped for Ultimates Endgame next month. I am going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.